Are you a new player trying to level up a Trickster to max level before Worldslayer launches? Are you stuck at challenge tier 5, 10 or even 14? In which case this build is for you. This Trickster build uses only tier 1 and tier 2 mods and not a single legendary item. With it you'll be able to complete every CT15. Let's get into it, starting with an overview of how this build works. The biggest challenge with undergeared Tricksters is survivability, as their healing mechanic needs you to be in close range and so taking a lot of damage. Endgame Tricksters are able to counter this by putting out huge damage themselves, reducing kill times to 1 or 2 shots, which keeps their health and shield topped up. But most endgame builds are dependent on legendary gear sets like Trespassers or Edge of Time, and tier 3 mods like Pain Transfer, Instant Reload, Captain Hunter, Dark Sacrifice and Fortress. Without these, the most viable build I've found is based on my Trickster tank, a link to which is in the description below. This has ultimate survivability and can still put out enough damage. So this is a middle tree build that focuses on keeping your shield active as much as possible through Disruption Shield, Shield's Increment, and Shield's Timeline. Even more survivability comes from Long Odds, Profit Squared, Oddity Resistance, and Anomaly Persistence. With this build, damage is dealt via your skills, so I have picked up Counter Shield and Combat Shield's Timeline to buff Anomaly power. Speaking of skills, this build uses Venator's Knife, which has a nice double damage buff, and Time Rift, both of which proc Disruption Shield and Counter Shield, along with Borrowed Time to generate even more shield and proc Combat Shield's Timeline. This build deals damage through a combination of damage dealing mods and debuffs. Debuffs come in the form of Vulnerability, which is applied through Geiger's Wave and improved vulnerability bullets, Anomaly Cut, which applies a debuff with Venator's Knife, and Ashen Bullets with Ashen Boost. Instead of the latter, you could use any of the status effects, Bleed, Burn or Toxic. Damage is dealt through Shield Zap, Untamed Power, Seismic Impulse, Storm Whip, Death Chains, and a little bit of Pain. The latter is an incredibly effective way of clearing non-elites. Once I've activated Borrowed Time and a Deception skill, the damage it deals is buffed to 790,000, and Vulnerability buffs this further to a little over 900,000, and this pretty much one-shots non-elite enemies. I'm also running some utility mods in Armor of Eons, providing even more survivability, long range to make Time Rift hit across the entire map, and short-term loan. If you can get the right roll on your gear, I would swap out short-term loan for stand tall. You don't really need the cooldown reduction on Borrowed Time, as it's around 6 seconds without it. Cooldown reduction is generated by being on every piece of armor, along with Anomaly Power on 4 pieces and Max Health on 1. For the final stat, Status Power or Close Range Damage are the best options. For my main gun I am using a double gun with plenty of life leech on it, and an automatic shotgun to apply debuffs. With this build you want to be using skills as soon as they come off cooldown. Double tap Borrowed Time, using it to proc Combat Shield's Timeline, and Untamed Power. Hip fire the shotgun and use Venator's Knife to apply debuffs widely, and use Time Rift and your weapon mods to take down enemies. With this build you have no problem finishing Expedition solo, albeit not in the quickest times, but once you have some legendary gear you can use one of the builds here to speed through content. Till next time, casual out.